Dinkelspiel, and I'm a senior project manager at the Portland Housing Bureau. The basic idea in Portland and in Oregon is to concentrate development in urban areas and to sort of preserve the natural landscape. And Oregon planning law does that, the regional planning laws do that, and the Portland Comprehensive Plan follows that. And so part of that idea is to concentrate not only development in the urban area, but also to concentrate it even more around the investments that we made in our infrastructure. So the comprehensive plan itself is literally littered with policies. It's got sort of every section has a mention of TOD in it in some way, shape, or form. For example, it says we want to have a certain density within a quarter mile of a transit station. We want to have a certain density within a half mile of a transit station. We want to have certain facilities there, like services or government offices or shops or what have you. We want to make sure that when we do invest in a transit line or a transit station, that we emphasize higher density development there. So not only higher density development, but also mixed use kinds of development. And so the policies reflect those kinds of ideas. One of the direct tools that we have in Oregon is a transit-oriented development tax exemption. And so that was put in place by the state legislature. And then Portland has taken that enabling legislation and implemented it with the help of Multnomah County, which is the county that we're in. And so that specifically allows for exemptions for affordable housing. So I'm a developer, I come in and I say I want to do my development, but I want a tax exemption. In order to get that tax exemption, I have to do at least 20% of my units at 60% of median family income. So there's this quid pro quo that says, I do development, I get a tax exemption, which is good for me and good for my bottom line, helps me do this development, but I also have to provide at least 20% of the units at 60% of median family income. That's a very direct correlation between transit and a financial incentive. The other incentives that we have are less specific to TOD, but they're all used because Portland has such an extensive system of transit. We can use tax increment financing. We have a system development charge waiver. So there's a whole bunch of tools that the city has that we use in all sorts of situations, but certainly in transit as well, so that we can sort of overlay the transit policies from the city with these financial tools. The tangible effects of all these policies, it's obvious when you go to Portland. Right? You see nodes of transportation that you can walk to, where there's a human scale thing going on, where there's shops, where there's housing. That you see all over the city. And as time goes by and development happens and more people move to the city and these rail lines and what have you, have been established longer and longer, that development intensifies. So for example, one of our rail lines, the transit line in the north part of the city, the yellow line, was built in 2005. And development has been literally springing up there on a yearly basis. High density or medium density development at, say 20 or 30 or 40 units per acre with ground floor retail. And it's almost like a month doesn't go by when somebody says, hey, I want to do this, medium scale development near this transit line. And that's just happening all the time now. The thing about being in the United States is that we've tried this experiment about cars. We've tried to make things bigger and better. It doesn't work. It's expensive, it's wasteful. And if you look at cities like Portland, who are doing the opposite, and you can see that our total vehicle miles are actually going down. That you can see on a per capita basis that total vehicle miles are going down, or that pollution's going down, or that people like living in the city better if you take a survey of their attitudes. Any community that's interested in doing this, even if it's small, even if you just have a bus line, and even if you just say in your plan, I'm just going to designate this intersection, this sort of 5 acres or 10 acres or 20 acres, whatever you have, and say this is going to be our transit-oriented place. And if the city does just little bits of incentives, whatever that is, whether it's inclusionary zoning, whether it's some comprehensive plan policy, whether it's a special zone that's just for this particular area, whether it's improvements on the street, or whether it's an investment in the building, which is of course kind of the penultimate thing, if you will. So you could just start at that place. You don't necessarily need to have this comprehensive plan structure that comes from the state and the region and the city and this great comprehensive plan. You could just start with this very small area, put some money into it, say this is designate this spot and concentrate on that. What I've come to realize, and over doing this for a while, has been that the comprehensive plan, it's important, but what's really important is just doing it. People who are interested in this idea already know that it's right. people, when they see it, will also know that when they actually experience it, will also know that it's right. And so just doing something and demonstrating it, there's going to be naysayers, there's always naysayers, there's always, it's too expensive, we can't do this, it's not in our town, all those things are just normal. But when you actually just get out and do it, say we've got enough of an idea, let's implement, that's when I think things start to change.